Hello, Western Civ, to week 12. And, what was I going to say? Well, there's a lot that's been going on. And I'm here late. It's not super late, but it's kind of late. And here in Leiden, Netherlands, it's about 11 a.m. there. It's 8:32 p.m. over here in Leiden, and I just want to say that my heart goes out to everybody, regarding this the forest fires here. I mean, I'm a born and raised in California guy, and it's really painful to see it all burn down, and it's affecting a lot of people that I know. I'm sure it's affecting many of you. I don't know who of you are being affected by it or have loved ones, but it's real. And the same thing with the mass shooting that happened, So there's like a lot of things that have been happening in the United States that has been making me feel kind of heavy, and it's always a bummer. It's always trying to figure out what's going on in the United States. By the way, how much has the caravan been a discussion in the news since the election cycle? I don't know, right? A whole other topic, right? Or maybe it's not anymore. I don't know. So, having said that, I hope everybody's all right. And I think I've said this in several of my videos, but I just want to say again, just because you might find it interesting. I'm not really trying to make a point. I'm not having a debate about this. But when the mass shootings happen here, they really do. Europeans really just more and more think we're crazy for like this, because they don't have a Second Amendment, right? And maybe I said this in one of my other videos, and forgive me, I do have this complex where I forget the things that I say. But it's okay, because a lot of people don't always watch all my videos anyways, so maybe this is the first time you heard it. But Hitler did not take away all the guns in Nazi Germany. He actually extended gun rights compared to the regime before, but it still wasn't like the Second Amendment. And so all I'm just saying is that there's really, the Hitler discussion shouldn't really have any bearing on the gun debate in America either way. But when people say this whole thing like, well, Hitler took the guns, and just no, not really. He came to power and he stayed in power because people believed in him. That's why. So if you believe in a dictator and you support their regime, that helps. And, and then when they persecute other people that aren't you, you don't worry about it, because it's not me. It's them. And so that's how these things work. But anyways, we're moving on. So this week, talking about the topics of Renaissance and the Medicis, and we're going to talk about Machiavelli. And this is a great section. And it's interesting, since I've been teaching this class, this seems to be a popular section, and this documentary on Machiavelli, and I'm glad that it's still up. I get nervous when things get always removed from YouTube, so fingers crossed it's going to be on there. So maybe you should watch that right away just to make sure you can get that in. But it's really interesting, and in the documentary they do a discussion, with several different people. One of them is the author of the Game of Thrones. But he really talks about how Game of Thrones is really kind of an illustration or an idea of many of the things coming out of Machiavelli's The Prince, and the idea of the ends justifying the means. Now, if you're not even familiar with, this name that I'm dropping in this discussion, well, you will be by the time you're done with this section this week. So I hope you enjoy that, and I think you'll find that to be helpful information. Let's see. Well, I'm posting a few pictures of some time that I spent in, I think it's pronounced Nijmegen. In Dutch, the G is like a Arabic or a Hebrew ch or cha. I'm always getting that confused, but it's like a ch. And so, the G is. So it's like Van Gogh is like Van Gogh, something like that. And anyhow, I went to this town. It's one of the oldest towns in the Netherlands. I went there because I used to work at a kid center in Portland, and there was this little girl that was a part of the kid center that I looked after. Not just me, a bunch of people. And her moms were from the Netherlands, and they moved back. And so now that I'm here, they're like, hey, why don't you come visit? And they have a new son now. And we rode bikes, even the little girl that I'm in the picture with, at nighttime, with a helmet though. And what I just want to say quickly, what's interesting about this is, as I'm showing you pictures of the old part, which is where her kid center is at, where we went to go pick her up, her and her mom's. And they showed, they basically were showing that there wasn't a lot of the old buildings left in this town. And the reason is because the Ally forces bombed the hell out of this town because it was occupied by the Nazis during World War II. And there were markers they would show on the street of where all the bombs were dropped. And you'd see occasionally some memorial things to people, like showing like tears and soldiers. And I mean, they're aware that the U.S. was trying to help liberate them, but it was also like the Allied forces that actually had to bomb so much them. And part of it is because the town is like 10 minutes away from Germany. And so it just reminds me, like, sometimes, you know, like, wow, I'm in this town. It's like so picturesque. It's so calm. You know, it's nice. We're eating cheese. You know, I'm with this couple, these two women that are legally married in the Netherlands. Some of you have different thoughts or feelings about that. I understand. Well, whatever. Like that's you know. So it's a great time. I go, you know, riding bikes, and you go to a bar that's very old and serves beer that's from a company started in the 17th century, and you know, hanging out with the kids, and it's a nice family day. Actually, it's very nice. And I was thinking, wow, not that long ago, this place was being carpet bombed, right? And it just reminded me how quickly things can change. And they showed me a building, just like over here in Leiden, of where women that were accused of being witches were tortured to death. And they actually would weigh them and try to like do some tests if they were really witches. So here that I'm in this liberal town now, so liberal, this liberal country where two women can be married for a long time. No big deal, no question. Nobody has issues with this. But at one time, they were torturing women accused of being witches. And they probably weren't witches, by the way, most of the women that were being tortured and discovered they were witches by these weird medieval science projects, right? So it's weird how things can just change, and you look at like the shift in history. But what doesn't seem to change, to bring it all back, is this Machiavellian political scene, the way that politics work. So locations get better or worse over time. Maybe cultures shift over there, what we consider normal or not normal. But it seems the people in power and power politics, that seems to just kind of like always be happening just the same. So, just my thoughts on that. It's I don't know if you can hear my stomach is kind of making weird sounds right now too. Like I think I ate too much salt licorice here. They're called like drops. That's the thing. Let me tell you. When I was in Thailand, I ate lots of good food, but a lot of the stuff I was always wondering, like, oh, can my stomach really handle like what's going to happen here? And then I just eat it, and then I'm here. And I have so much bread and candy, like I don't know if I'm going to survive like without having diabetes in the next week or something, but I'm going to have to do some restraint. Anyways, I hope you have a good week. Hope you're doing all right. We'll be in touch if you need anything.